A Gypsy Good Time by GUSTAV HASFORD. Read by Michael Armenta. Dedication. This book is dedicated to the regular patrons of the Café Cafard, Grover and Ray Lewis, Philippe and Liz Gagne, Andy Dowdy, Paul Hunt, and, of course, especially to Tidwell. Quote, when Alexander reigned, it is reported that there was a very beautiful strumpet in Alexandria that, from her childhood, always fed on spiders, and for that reason the king was admonished that he should be careful not to embrace her lest he be poisoned by venom. End quote. Edward Topsell, The History of Four-Footed Beasts and Serpents, London, 1607. It is a typical California twilight, clear, perfect, and balmy. You can smell sea air and pizza. Wide-clad window washers on scaffolds are lowering themselves down the face of the monstrous tomb of the unknown veteran they call the Federal Building, a bland concrete monolith overlooking a veteran cemetery which extends to the horizon. You park your black Jeep in the Federal Building parking lot and jaywalk across Wilshire Boulevard and into Westwood Village. Snug up against the sprawling campus of UCLA, Westwood is a high-roller suckers carnival, jam-packed with chic movie theaters, restaurants, and swank boutiques. High-rise condos spring up overnight in the spaces between the gridlocked traffic. One block east of the Federal Building on Wilshire is the busiest intersection in Southern California. They call it the Golden Strip because if you live there, you pay your rent in gold. Saturday night is date night, and swarms of tanned valley girls are pawing through expensive clothing beneath the brittle glitter of bright lights, while legions of yuppie law students and acne-scarred, aspiring medical men troll through the attractive assortment of valley girls. Westwood is the Times Square of Los Angeles, the heartbeat, where sounds of lust and shopping swallow up catcalls, shameless bragging, screams of terror and delight, and from passing LAPD prowl cars darting down the San Diego freeway comes the sad and lonesome wail of sirens, police sirens, the song of the city. The sirens grow louder and finally converge, and the warm night air is shattered by the mechanical screams of stainless steel robots dying agonizing deaths in a stainless steel hell for their stainless steel sins. You've driven to Westwood with a key you picked up in Brentwood. Brentwood is where you go to live if you get kicked out of Beverly Hills. Very understated, very elegant. In Brentwood, the grass is not cut, it's manicured. The sexy little darling who gave you the key in Brentwood is the widow of the famous entertainment lawyer Thorne Blue. They had been the perfect California couple. He was 80, she was 18. Methuselah and the hard body. Their immortal love story will sizzle on the screen, coming soon. And she truly was a jet-propelled piece of Mogambo, top-drawer burnished gold, ultra-gorgeous, pampered pussy. A Midwest Valley girl to whom bubblegum music was the ultimate truth. An airhead who imitated authentic Valley girls she had seen on TV by sneering and saying as a stock response to every remark, "I'm so sure." The Valley Girl phenomenon was a social breakthrough which elevated mindlessness into an art form. and allowed women without money to act like snotty bitches in a way that had previously been a jealously guarded franchise of the congenitally rich. The first Valley Girl was Marie Antoinette. Let them eat sushi. Valley Girls never go to bed on the first date, but they do bring along certified public accountants to audit your books. The Widow Blue gave you a heavy brass key while standing in the corner of a powder blue room the size of a Latin American country, and she said some things, but you were being rude and not paying attention. The Widow Blue was wearing a bikini made from white string and 4 sky blue plastic oyster shells. Under the blue oyster shells were breasts, tanned, dark, heavy, and round. If you weren't quite listening to what she was saying, it was because you were thinking about how looking at her cleavage was more fun than reading a magazine. You were ready to bet cash money that if she ever allowed you to see those breasts, you would go blind. Inside her plastic blue bikini was the fullness of her breasts, but inside her head was space, the final frontier. You can admire a woman for her mind if she has a mind. If not, it's only charitable to give her credit for any good stuff she's got showing. As you walked past, you peeked into a room with 6 inches of white sand on the floor, 14 surfboards. A rainbow of shiny candy colors were mounted on the walls like trophies in a shark's house. You followed the Widow Blue down the corridor into her husband's study, even though everything about her was shifty, including the way she walked. The gold-brown hardwood floor in the study glittered like a jungle pool. There was a lot of antique furniture and white doilies. On top of the antiques and doilies were china jugs and cut crystal bowls. The air in the room was too clean, too stuffy, and too precisely regulated to be real life. The room smelled like the sealed cargo hold of a rocket ship. The house was very quiet. The grieving widow's high heels tapped on the hardwood floor and echoed down the long corridor to where a fat Mexican maid in a black and white uniform, eyes downcast, was emerging from one room and disappearing into another room, pretending not to exist. The rhythm of the Widow Blue's step felt calculated, as though her sky-blue high-heeled shoes were tapping out invitations to unnatural acts in some secret code. The grief-stricken young widow with the anti-gravity tits had called you up at your bookstore in Hollywood the day after the funeral and offered you the hundreds of books in her husband's home study and Westwood business offices for $100 American. She wanted to redecorate the house as soon as possible, she said, and she needed the space. You said you'd take a look. You and your partner, Red Kelso, enjoy buying books at estate sales because dead people don't haggle, unless, of course, they're agents. Widows are the backbone of the rare book business. Rich husband loves books, works hard, kicks off. The widow lives on forever. Widow considers books a childish self-indulgence. Please haul this junk off and thank you very much. Pacing nervously in her husband's study, her kill time of your life body playing peekaboo behind blue plastic seashells, the Widow Blue explained that she doubted that I'd be interested in buying her husband's books because they'd been given to him as gifts, apparently, because people had written their names into every volume. People with names like Hemingway, Faulkner, Fitzgerald, Dickens, Kerouac, and a whole bunch of the books were signed by some jerk named E.A. Poe. The Widow Blue could not, for the life of her, make any sense out of why her husband, who could have afforded to buy as many brand new books as he wanted, preferred instead to fill up the shelves of his Brentwood mansion with dreadful old second-hand first editions. Biting your lip painfully and begging for the discipline to ignore the deeply tanned curve of a partially visible breast tipped by a brown pearl of nipple, and suppressing a groan, you said, looking at the books with disdain, "People sure are funny sometimes, ma'am. Tell you what I'll do. For $100 I might be willing to haul this junk off for you and show you that my heart's in the right place. I'll take this key and I'll drive all the way over to Westwood right now and haul off any books in your husband's business office. That's money out of my pocket to drive out of my way like that, but I figure it's an investment in goodwill." The Widow Blue smiled sweetly and opened her black alligator purse. "I won't pay a penny over $25. You said, $100. Take it or leave it." She said, "You'll accept a personal check, of course." Scratching your chin, you said, "No, ma'am. I gotta have it all in cash, in advance." So now the sun is going down, and I'm walking up Gailey Avenue with the brass key given to me by the grieving Widow Blue. I'm looking for the street number of a dead lawyer's office where maybe an unknown treasure of rare autographed first editions awaits, or maybe a leather-bound volume that will turn out to be William Shakespeare's handwritten diary, or maybe only with a cardboard box full of Charlie Brown paperbacks with broken spines. One street away from the main track in Westwood, Gailey Avenue serves as an open-air asphalt big top for freelance circus acts. Jugglers stand in the street, entertaining passengers in the passing parade of Porsches. The snail race for cars, called a traffic jam, is not purely a California invention, but no one will deny Californians credit for having brought it to the purest state of perfection. Acrobats walk among the cars on their hands or whirl by doing somersaults. Ragtag Bob Dylan clones stand trapped inside smelly leather jackets and shamelessly inflict cruel and unusual punishment on out-of-tune guitars. I'm working the trail of books with instincts, not deadened by civilization, when one of Westwood's street mime population, walking backwards in front of me, grabs my arm and swings me around. I collide with a drop-dead gorgeous true blue redhead. The street mime has kidnapped the redhead with his other arm. The redhead is totally surprised and is completely naked, except for her clothes. The redhead is tall and slender, with maddeningly elongated legs. The woman has legs all over her body. Her ice blue eyes move on me like cold fingers of light. Bedroom eyes, eyes full of stories, eyes that could make a serpent eat apples. The redhead is a stylishly dressed woman in Earth Angel white. She has .45 caliber lips and more charm than the law allows. She is the girl next door. Now all I have to do is find out where she lives and move next door to her. The street mime's face is covered with white grease paint, lips red, eyes outlined in black. The stone fox redhead and I both try to pull away. We are busy people with promises to keep, and miles to go before we sleep, and so on. And no time to waste and no office to make small talk in. But the street mime grips us both with stubborn streak, wider than anything you could have learned in mime school. We submit. The mime holds out his hands, together, palms up. He reads wedding vows from an invisible book, silently and solemnly. He asks me if I do, and I do. He asks Longlegs if she does, and she sighs and nods. Then the street mime hands me the wedding ring, an invisible gold ring with a big invisible diamond. Longlegs groans with impatience, then extends her perfect hand so that I can slip the ring onto her perfect finger. Passers-by are starting to congeal into an audience, But the ordeal of public humiliation seemed to be over. Resisting the impulse to give the mime a handful of imaginary coins, I slip him 2 real $1 bills. But he hooks me back with that flawlessly polite brute force, reminiscent of the Hong Kong tailors who used to drag us into their shops from the sidewalk back in the good old, bad old days on R&R from Vietnam. The mime plays to the audience for support, and they respond with a chorus of expressions of peer group pressure. The mime orders me to kiss the bride. I kiss the bride. The bride is surprised. A sparkle of warmth passes between us. Kissing her is light, pleasant work. I kiss her again. My cobwebbed cojones are bouncing around like Mexican jumping beans, and suddenly my John Henry wakes up from a coma and starts vibrating like a tuning fork. The tormenting street mime makes a happy face and then abruptly loses all interest in us and snags 2 strangers from our sidewalk wedding guests and kick-starts his act all over again. My new bride and I are left standing together. It's 8 o'clock at night. Lots of light, lots of car horns. The rich people shops are teeming with customers, and there are long lines of people waiting to get into the movie theaters. Everybody looks about 12 years old. "Excuse me," says Longlegs, and turns to go. This time I'm the one who lays a grip on her arm. I step back. I put my eyes on her, and I let them look. We stand on the sidewalk, the panting man and the coolly appraising woman. I'm giving her my look that says, "You've got what it takes to get what I want." She is responding with a look that says that she knows what I want and that maybe she wants me to have it. The sparkle of warmth passes between us again. Meeting this woman has been like picking up a live electrical wire. Scary, but thrilling. I say, "I'm so hungry, why, I could eat some food. Why don't we go somewhere and eat some dead animal flesh? I promise to show you a 4-dimensional time." She says, "Not a chance, Heathcliff." Bouncing my words like rubber balls against the brick wall of the silent superiority of her stare, I say, "Is this our first fight?" "Our first," she says, "and our last." I say, "I stand corrected, but firm. I mean, my mother warned me about you. My mother told me that it would be a big mistake to marry you." Longlegs smiles. "Look, I'm not good company right now. It's the little bitch in me. A friend of mine," I say, "go on, you can trust me. I'm family." She says, "A friend of mine died a few days ago. I guess I'm not in the mood to be picked up, not even by you." I say, "Maybe I can help. I'm a very resourceful person and a fair to middling listener when I'm not talking. Maybe a drink would help." She smiles again. "Actually, I could use a drink." I smile back. That's diamonds. "Let's get you a drink and maybe we can drop a lobster in on top of it. Then we can go home to our little cottage by the sea and see if the dog has eaten the kids' homework." I extend my hand. "Dowdy Lewis, Jr." Longlegs shakes my hand. "Ivana. Just Ivana." As we walk along looking for a restaurant, I say, "I'm not one of them." "One of them what?" she asks. "One of them that you take me for." Ivana and I sit in the White Tiger restaurant and measure each other over our wine glasses. Stylish courting yuppie couples seated at tables all around us lean in close, earnestly lying to each other and holding hands, billing and cooing and trading tax loopholes and endlessly reassuring each other that unbridled ruthlessness in business is the sexiest thing in the world. The men standing at the bar are all wearing the same gray suit and the same black tie, and every flunky and errand boy properly attired can pass himself off as a rich man or a king or maybe even a Hollywood movie producer. The men are all standing up tall and sucking in their expense account bellies and staring at Ivana. Ivana slices her pork with the delicacy of a neurosurgeon, takes a bite, taps the corners of her mouth with a napkin, and casually shakes lustful glances from her hair. The menu is labeled in gold, bound in suede, and is as big as a barn door. There are golden dragons all over the reddest of red walls and paper lanterns strung over black mahogany booths. Friendly young Chinese people of both sexes attend us like royalty. The best food and the only good service in Los Angeles are by the Chinese. They bring us some of every kind of food there is. Then fortune cookies. Into the soft tinkle of falling ice cubes, Ivana says. Don't get any ideas. I know karate. I say, that's good to know, but then I'm not looking for a bodyguard. What are you looking for? I'm a kind and considerate guy looking for a moody bitch for a love-hate relationship. I'm looking for a good woman who knows how to be bad. Women should be obscene and not heard. You can just check your flattery at the door, Chief. I'm not flattery operated. You know, Ivana, I think maybe Jaws wouldn't bite you because he'd be afraid he might chip a tooth on your heart. I'm always cold when a man comes on to me like I'm a hot yam at a picnic. I just want to know what you want from me, okay? Up front. What is this, sweet pea? An audition? What do you want it to be? Maybe a meaningful exchange of illusions before the honeymoon hits bad road. In this town, men never say what they're really thinking unless they don't mean it. Women have an annoying habit of saying no to questions they have not been asked. Oh, you'll ask. I'm just trying to save time. Fair enough, but if we're going to be making big circles together, then you've got to stop bumping into me on the turns. I can feel it. Spaces are opening. Like there's almost any hope. You know, you're not the first woman I've met who thinks her ass is made of gold, and that every man in California is out to make a discovery. What you get from a woman like that is all wrapper and no candy. Okay, so I'm a shallow, snotty bitch and a frigid prick teaser. And you don't like me. What a sad song. Look, I've got some ABC-type information for you, lady. I don't believe a word you say, but I like the sound of your voice. You are a jackpot of admirable qualities. You're the goods. You're a winner on all tracks. I can't resist you. I don't want to. You're so sweet you could shit chocolate buttons. I want you to have so much fun with me that you'll fall in love with me forever. But why? Why what? Why am I so important to you? You just met me. You're important to me because it's not often that I meet someone who doesn't make me feel like I'm alone, even when I'm with her. I warn you, I ain't NTM. And I warn you, I'm not a male person. I'm a man. And if you expect me to play Prince Charming for you, it will have to be on a rented horse. Success has lost my address. Why are you telling me this? Oh, just in case you've got a bad case of the horror. What horror? The horror, you know. The Valley Girl's horror of falling in love with a man who doesn't have any money. Right, I'm a gold digger. And I was raised to believe that you'll marry the best possible provider you could stomach. So you're broke, but I should overlook that because you're different? You're my one true love? What makes you so special? You wear imported underwear or something? Well, you can just keep your squeeze off my tit until I give you the green light. I'm 39 years old and I'm looking downhill at the business end of 40. I grew up on a failing, hard-scrabble horse ranch in Tick County Wash near Bisbee, Arizona. The southern boundary of our land ran along the Mexican border. I lived with my mother. She drank. I was just a dutiful blob she had excreted for her own use. So I ran off to the Marines. I was with Force Recon in Vietnam. That's the only thing I've ever done in my life that I'm proud of. And I have doubts about that, sometimes. My mother died. After a lifetime of inhaling an ocean of alcohol, she took a swan dive off a brandy bottle. I went to live with my father. My father was 90 years old and owned a bookstore in Hollywood. He died 10 years ago. 15 years ago, I quit after putting in 4 years in a black and white as a cop on the LAPD. I hated the job. The cops I was riding around with were weirder than the dirtbags we busted. Now I own half of a bookstore in Hollywood. The bookstore doesn't make any money. I'm an alcoholic and a compulsive gambler. It's about time I married a schoolmarm and went into the farm implement business. You've got something to say, cowboy, or do you just want to complain? What I'm saying is that I'm easily bored by women and the silly games they play. This ain't my first time at the rodeo. I'm not as horny as I was when I was 19, and not as dumb. I'm a little bit prematurely cantankerous, and I will not tolerate endless pageants of coy bullshit from parasitic dingbats. My motto is, never sleep with anyone crazier than yourself. This is not a sign that I'm getting old. It is a sign that I'm acquiring judgment and taste. So don't waste your Marie Antoinette impressions on me. I don't like it. So if you're a cowboy, where's your cowboy hat? I don't have a cowboy hat. I wear all of my cowboy hats on the inside. Have you ever been married? Sure, for about 5 minutes. My wife left me. She wants to be a famous porno star. I hear that she gets screwed 10 times a day, but she still hasn't managed to get screwed on film. She'll keep trying, I'm sure. She's always been a very determined woman. So you're getting to be 40 and your life is a mess, and you think that maybe your only hope is to marry some brainless girl who is into mainlining apple pie? What a typical male chauvinist you are. You probably think the man should hunt and the woman should stay in the cave and type. Don't tell me what I think. Okay, I'll take a chance. Say one thing that's not male chauvinist if you can. Think fast. Roger copy, Wonder Woman. Anyone ever told you got a really nice set of wits? Okay, fair enough. So you scored 1 point. Beginner's luck. Now you've told me, so I'm telling you. I don't want a job being somebody's wife. Men promise me diamonds and give me donuts. My idea of hell on earth is to be surrounded by little bottoms, all of them leaking. One item I most assuredly do not need in my life is a herd of golden-haired, jam-encrusted rugrats. I would not be a good mother. Have everything a woman should have except a shoulder to cry on. Has anyone ever told you that you talk like a movie of the week? Of course, so do you. So does everyone. I don't mind. I lost my substance to veneer a long time ago. We're just all stealing dialogue from television. You and I both know that we'll have to pop every line from every Love Boat script ever written, sooner or later. We might as well get it over with. You're waiting to meet a rich monkey who'll feed you gold-plated peanuts while you pursue your career? Is that your basic plan? That's it, cowboy. Nothing too good for baby Ivana. It's going to be fun grinding the rough edges off, you little buzzard. Hey, cowboy, I can keep this up as long as you can. When are you going to say that I'm too wise, too glib, and too afraid of feelings? Didn't I cover that one already? I thought I covered that one. No, you must have forgotten. Senility, no doubt. I hear people get that way when they're almost 40. You just keep in mind that I'm not a ball of string for the cat. I figure I've already put in my time as the pinball in some bimbo's ego machine. Hey, I can play that one. Let's see how many crazy things you can tell me about yourself, and let's see how many of them I can believe. I must admit you are a magician at being a woman. I really wish I knew what game you're playing so I'd know what cards to keep. That's good move. Well, why should I care what you think of me? Doesn't mean that much to me to mean that much to you. Talk straight to me, bitch, or get out of my face. Obscenity! A classic defense reaction, and avoidable after therapy. Are you offering to introduce me to one of your Beverly Hills shrinks? Have you ever been in the business? What business? The business. Films, movies. Movie making? Is that a business? I thought it was a cross between a gangbang and a Chinese opera. No, I'm not in the business. My father was, back in the old days when the cowboy extras were all real cowboys. I know, Hollywood. Maybe that's why I hate Hollywood's guts. I suppose that question makes you an actress or some other form of female impersonator? I'm an associate producer at Golden West Studios. Tennessee Williams wrote my life. I'm rich. I'm trying to prove I can make it without my family's money. I'm a cliché. Our parents gave us no love, so we go to Hollywood to be loved by the world. You make movies? No, I go out for bagels and cream cheese. The men make the movies. That doesn't sound fair. You're a lot smarter than most of the men I know. In Hollywood, cup size trumps IQ every time. I don't see anything wrong with your cup size. No, but then I can't produce with my tits. I could be an actress with these tits. That's all you really need, but I don't want to be an actress. I want to be a producer. Or I want it to be. That's over now. Yvonne, I feel like you're talking to me through the gun slit of an armored car. Why are you playing your cards so close to your vest? I'm sorry, Dowdy. It's just that I feel like I'm being set up for a guest spot on the Gong Show. It's only life and death. And it's not funny. Death? What death? Somebody murdered my girlfriend. The girl I work with. Who did it? I don't know. I don't want to talk about it, but I'm scared. I came to Westwood tonight because I had an appointment with a lawyer I used to go out with. He was going to give me the name of a reliable private detective, but he didn't show. Maybe I can help. Oh, that's very reassuring. How protective you men can be when you want something for yourself. You're very hard to understand. On the other hand, you're easy to dislike. On the other hand, I think that kissing your thighs would be like eating candy. Why do you want to seduce me, use my body, and then discard me if you dislike me? Maybe because you're scared and preoccupied, and I'm only human, despite appearances. I do want to help. You don't know what you're saying. Don't tell me I don't know what I'm saying. I've been speaking English all my life. Maybe you can help, at that. Me? Why me? Maybe because I'm sinking and that you're the only land in sight? I'm at the crossroads of my life. I wish you'd stop by. Forget it. It wouldn't work. We couldn't agree on how to make Kool-Aid. Somebody killed Esther Finn, Dowdy. They killed my secretary. Somebody cut her open and gutted her like a chicken. The police found her in a shopping cart in the parking lot of an Alpha Beta supermarket. She was naked and she was dead. Her throat was cut. I'm scared. I think I'm next. What should I do? Who can I talk to? Is that all you want from me? Legal advice and maybe a little muscle? No, that's not all I want. But so much is happening, it's too much. I can't handle a heavy romantic involvement right now. I mean, I do like you, I do. It's been a long time since I've been an honest-to-God man with a full set of balls. I can handle the sex, but not the size. Give me time with the heavy scene, okay? I'll make you a deal. If you'll wait, I'll hurry. Okay. I'm easy. I'll bite your hook. Suddenly, Ivana leans over, runs her hand up my thigh, and massages my crotch like it's Aladdin's lamp. I blush as her fingers gently outline the blue steel throbber she has inspired. Ivana laughs. Don't be embarrassed. It's the only compliment a woman can believe. She kisses me on the neck and whispers loud enough to be heard by half the damn people in the restaurant. Damn, you make me want sex. I pantomime a scribble to a smiling Chinese teen angel, and she hurries to our table and plops down a small plastic tray. On the tray is the check. Reading the check, I choke on my drink. The check looks like an SS officer's laundry bill. As I count out all my cash, Ivana smiles a smile that would turn a whorehouse white. She says, So, pal, you want to come over to my place and see my stamp collection? I say, Do the Chinese eat noodles and rice? Does a shark shit in salt water? Does Superman fly in his underwear? Where do you live? Malibu? Feeling like a fistful of aces with my arm around Ivana's warm young body, I say, We'll go to my place. It's closer. Ivana says, You haven't kissed me once this evening. I say, Yes, I have. I park my Jeep on the street. Faces move behind curtains as the people who live in the apartment building across the street from my bookstore on the southwest corner of the intersection on Hollywood Boulevard and Western Avenue check out the strange sight of Ivana's curvaceous Rolls-Royce body gliding along the sidewalk of my canned beans neighborhood. Whenever possible, I'd like to bring some small ray of sunshine into the lives of my repulsive neighbors. I live in a place where shadows come out when the sun goes down, and they don't come out to play. Moon shadows from the apartment building across the street fall onto my store. The apartment building is a bloated variation of a French Quarter crematorium, a smog-smudged slab of rock packed tight with cockroaches, people, and televisions, with barely enough spare breathing space left over for those who stop by to kill time by visiting the newlywed and the nearly dead. Old people drawing Social Security checks eat dog food in that building. Wine is puked up in the halls. Bums mark out their territory by peeing in the stairwells. A scream from that building is routinely dismissed as anxiety. I unlock the front door of my store, and I take Ivana by the hand and guide her through the dark between high rows of bookshelves. At the foot of freestanding stairs, at the rear of the store, I switch on the light in the loft. We hurry up the stairs. Ivana stands at the railing and surveys the shadowy shelves below. She says, What kind of books do you sell? I say, Books about the Old West, rare books, nonfiction books, no novels. I search unsuccessfully for clean glasses in which to pour wine while Ivana looks around. My bed is a war surplus wooden canvas army cot, covered with a red plaid sleeping bag. There is an open roll-top desk. The desk is over 100 years old and has more spider-webbed pigeonholes than I've ever had time to explore. On top of the desk are piles of papers, old bills, old letters, and other dusty fossils of long-forgotten business transactions. On top of the papers are paperweights, a quartz crystal as big as a beer can, a small bronze bust of George Washington, the father of our country, and a giant desert scorpion encased in a block of lucite. On the wall above the desk is a framed black and white photograph of a dozen raggedy-assed teenage jungle heroes with painted faces and lots of lethal weapons, holding up a long black silk banner that proclaims, in white-stitched script, "Swift, deadly, silent." On one wall hang about 25 framed photographs, sepia-toned, of Apache chiefs. None of the portraits is of Geronimo or Victoria or Cochise or Mangus, Colorado. Just 25 hard-eyed faces of nameless Apache war chiefs. My adopted family. Solitude was an Apache science. On the other walls are bookshelves loaded down with thousands of books on all kinds of bizarre and esoteric subjects. Books culled from estate sales, garage sales, library discarded sales, and from books brought in by our customers. While Red Kelso, my partner, runs the store, I'm out on the road scouting for rare books to replenish our stock. I track down rare books like an Apache collecting scalps. All the non-Wild West books we pick up in lot deals at estate sales, but can't use for stock, go into my personal library. Except for rare first editions, we sell those to other dealers. The loft reeks with the familiar perfume of old, dusty, musty books. Ivana says, "Dowdy, I want you to slip into something more comfortable. And I think it's me." There is the metallic buzz of a zipper being undone. I drop a focal on Ivana's bulging back lace brassiere. Ivana says, "Do you live like this? You live like a monk?" I say, "Bachelors don't live. We camp out." And then I kiss her. She is breathing like a wounded animal now. Her face contorted against the pillow while she begs me to stop, and then begs me not to stop, and then begs me to invent new things, wonderful things. She rolls over and pulls me down onto her hot, oily flesh. Her firm, heavy breasts are rubbing against my chest, while her tongue rotates inside my mouth like a little machine. Her fingers are eagle talons, raking my ribs. Her muscular legs are locked over the small of my back. Her belly is sticky with sweat as it slaps against my body to the rhythm of our coordinated, desperate breathing. And our bodies are hot and strong and alive and vibrating with the energy from the muscular, joyful exercise of our animal powers. We are getting down to short strokes when the vibrating electric rainbow shoots up my spine and echoes between Ivana's legs. Ivana groans as I fill her body with the ancient gift, a humble offering of life in the form of liquid pearl. Ivana seems to enjoy making a point out of maintaining unwavering eye contact at that moment. Panting with her eyes full of tears, she says, "You're making me come." On the sleeping bag on the floor next to my army cot, I pull away from Ivana and lie face down. Ivana climbs up onto me, and we lie together, breathing hard, not saying anything, while her nipples burn into my back like hot coins, and she rubs her damp orange pubic fuzz back and forth across my buttocks. Ivana reaches for the phone on the floor next to my cot. She says into the phone, "Hello, room service? Send up more midgets, more burros, and more Vaseline." We laugh together, sinking into the fatigue that follows the warm, red adrenaline of love. We talk to each other in the dark. Ivana says, "You're such a good lover. What's your secret?" I say, "I fake my orgasms." The next morning is Sunday, so we sleep late. We go downstairs to the bathroom in the back of the storage room, and we take a shower together. Ivana says, laughing, "I love your shower curtain." My shower curtain is clear plastic with a solid black silhouette of Norman Bates' mother brandishing a big black knife. An hour later, we are driving in my Jeep north up the Pacific Coast Highway, passing by the Malibu colony. Malibu is the glamorous and mythic beach community where everybody is a movie star, and where a tumble-down shack is worth $1 million, and any shack with indoor plumbing is worth $1.5 million. Ivana points out a nondescript little gray box wedged into the seemingly solid wall of nondescript gray boxes mounted on pilings along the beach and pounded by the surf. Ivana says, "That's where I live." I say, "You're kidding. I thought you lived in a palace at least." Ivana laughs. "It's a one-bedroom bungalow. The rent is $4,000 a month." It is a hot, dry adjective of an afternoon. We ride rented saddle horses up into Topanga Canyon. The horses, a bay gelding and a dappled gray, are as tame as doves. Ivana is afraid, but tries not to show it. I say, "Relax, the horse knows this trail better than we do. Give him his head." Ivana says, "Is this really necessary? I mean, we've got cars now, right? Or maybe we could rent motorcycles or something, trail bikes?" I laugh. I say, "Yes, we do have cars now, but my dad always used to say that the outside of a horse is good for the inside of a man." And I think he was right. Ivana says, "So, I mean, well, do horses bite?" I say, "Yes, horses do bite, but only if you bite them first." Down in Topanga Canyon are eucalyptus trees with trunks like pale green snakes losing their skin, and a creek, and secluded houses inhabited by wealthy hippies. Even today, the rich hippies are able to continue their protest against the fascist police state with great feeling and integrity, because their parents owned stock and napalm factories, and left the hippies well-heeled enough to be consumers of only pure and organically grown drugs. The rich hippie houses are simple and rustic on the outside, decorated with colorful symbols of peace, love, and the sun. The symbols are fading, but the colors are still pretty. Inside, the houses have been furnished by the most exclusive of the most exclusive Beverly Hills interior decorators. We see day hikers and underage surfers looking for a place to make love, and aging, bearded full-time backpackers who always have wild, scary eyes and long, dirty hair and look like John the Baptist on bad acid. And we see fearless squirrels, assigned to guard the forest. The squirrels monitor our approach and rotate acorns between black and strangely human hands. They do not run, but retreat a few feet at a time, brown bushy tails flopping out of control. The squirrels abruptly turn, stand their ground, and silently watch, taking notes on the intruders, jaws puffed out to the max as they eat, tiny teeth working on acorns like dental drills. I laugh. I say to Ivana, "You see, that's why we can't go back to the land. The land doesn't want us." We dismount and let the horses graze free on clover and grass, while Ivana and I have a picnic down by the creek. I have packed our picnic lunch in a brown paper sack, 2 large bags of famous Amos chocolate chip cookies, and a 6-pack of Coors. Ivana laughs. "Cookies? All you brought for us to eat are cookies?" I say, "What, you want a pizza or something?" "I'm sorry. You're right. I guess I've pretty much gotten out of the habit of shopping for two. I'll go get you a pizza." Ivana laughs again. "No, cookies will be fine." She kisses me. "You know, Dowdy, you're such a gentle man. You must never get what you want. I thought Marines were supposed to be tough." I say, "When you're almost 20, you want to be tough. When you're almost 40, you just want to be human." Ivana is wearing a t-shirt from one of my old recon reunions and my faded blue cutoffs. The cutoffs have long since faded, leaving only patches of blue scarred by white creases. On the t-shirt, a little cartoon soldier is diving headfirst into a giant mug of beer. Black letters on the t-shirt say, "Mess with the best, die like the rest." As Ivana eats chocolate chip cookies, I run my index finger slowly up the fine line of her inner thigh. Ivana says, "So you're in the rare book business? Is that really what you want? No great ambitions? It seems like nobody in California is working at what he really wants to be. Everybody has a day job." I say, "No, Longhorn Books is my boogie, for now. The store can't last, and the chains, Crown, B. Dalton's, Walden Books, are killing off the independent bookstores. I guess after the store goes under, I'll have to write an edible diet book or something. I'll probably end up as a street peddler selling Tootsie Rolls in Guam. Or maybe I can open up a yuppie insurance company and sell relationship insurance." "No little Mary Lou waiting in the wings?" I say. "What, me? No. I got tired of dropping my bucket down dry wells. After my wife left, I figured I'd shop around and cut one from the herd. I'd be a Stepford husband, you know? Dagwood Bumstead, shopping for a weed eater with a straight face." "So what's the problem?" "I don't know, Ivana. In California, people toss the word love around like a frisbee. You lose your faith in love, I guess. You meet somebody, you think, she's so nice, but you've been there before. You know that in the end she'll turn out to be just another neurotic man-hater, gold digger, or emotional black hole. Loving somebody who can't love you back is like pouring yourself into a hole. So after a while, you figure, why get your hopes up? Why not cut yourself some slack? You owe it to yourself. Why not save yourself the wear and tear?" Ivana says, "What was your wife's name?" I say, "Sabine. But I always called her Spender. She's stopped calling herself Sabine Lewis, Jr. She uses her stage name now. Her stage name is Rosetta Stone. She's working as a stripper until she makes it big as a porno star. Maybe you've heard of her if you spend a lot of time hanging out in the low-life bars. I tried to flag her off the track before she hit the wall, but even love has to stop somewhere short of suicide." "She must have really hurt you," I say, joking. "She was a quick cure for happiness, that's for sure. Loving that woman was like trying to suck orange juice out of a brick." Then, embarrassed by Ivana's unresponsive silence, I say, "I've had a belly full of love. I got nothing left to give. She gutted me. I was torn in two like a losing ticket at the track. I was a zombie for a year." "Did she even try to love you, Dowdy?" I say. "Yes, she did. She did try. But she kind of loved you and killed you at the same time." She tried, but she just wasn't there for me. Maybe I wasn't there for her. I don't know. She didn't give her love freely, but issued it in specific amounts, like rations. She could target a man's weak points with the precision of a sniper, and she could transform herself into a bitch quicker than Clark Kent can become the Man of Steel. But mostly I think we just ran out of gas. Marriage is like the finish on a new car. After a while you can't get the shine to come up. There's no reason for it. It's nobody's fault. It's just time. Time passing. You know why I'm so smart? Because I've made so many mistakes. When I finally do look at Ivana, the Mona Lisa smile on her lips is an invitation to a seduction. A strong, fearless smile as hard as flint. And I can see a glint of wet silver in her ice-blue eyes. We're wading in the streams when Ivana slips on a shadow in the water and falls flat on her rump with a wholly undignified splash. When I try to help her up, she plays karate tricks with me and pulls me down. We roll in the water, laughing, squealing as cold water splashes. We tug at each other's clothes, raping each other at leisure to the tune of the gentle warble of the water as it plows against white rocks all around us, and then plunges downstream, impatient to fulfill its destiny to be water somewhere else. Ivana kisses my hands, one and then the other, then clamps my hands onto her breasts. Sitting on my waist, she finishes stripping off her t-shirt, then unhooks her frilly white brassiere. The brassiere is as frothy as cotton candy, but reinforced by wire and sturdy enough to have been designed by an engineer. Ivana rubs the brassiere on my face and says, "Isn't that warm?" Leaning forward, Ivana says, "Dowdy, suck on my big titties like a baby. Nurse me." And while I'm holding on to and kissing first one sun-browned globe of flesh and then the other, Ivana grips my hair with both hands and pulls me to her body until it hurts. She presses a big breast forward into my mouth. "Like it?" she asks fiercely. She gives me a stern order. "Tell me I can have some." I say, "You can have some." I bite her breast, hard, branding her with teeth marks. I lick salty sweat from the deep brown valley between her breasts. Ivana groans, and then she says without mercy, "Dowdy, are we going to be together forever, you and I?" Ivana stands up, strips off her cutoffs. Then standing over me, she lifts her own breast, the breast with my teeth marks on it, lifts her own heavy, tanned breast, and repeatedly and lovingly kisses the red half-moon of teeth marks across the dark and gorged nipple. Looking up at Ivana's nude body, I observe that, while in the dark, a woman's pussy is delicate, a wet flower of flesh, a fragrant pink rose. In the light of day, it is brutal and looks like a hairy gunshot wound. We terrorize the minnows, and we panic the frogs and the crawdads, and we scatter our illegal limit of tadpoles. Ivana and I cannot get enough of each other. Ivana gives herself over to loving violently, as if she were throwing herself down a flight of stairs, moaning and groaning and coming like a machine gun. Any school moms, bird watchers, or Eagle Scouts who happen to pass by on the nature trails overlooking the creek will observe, rolling along in the muddy water, what might at first appear to be two giant land crabs locked in mortal combat. We do the bad thing, and it's good. I start Ivana LeBlain's tour of Longhorn books by saying, "My father and Red Kelso, my partner, knew Wyatt Earp. They were friends back in the early days of Hollywood, when the cowboys in films were all real cowboys. Hard-eyed old bastards with muscles in their shit, and hands so calloused that they had to strain to make a fist. Red, my dad, and Wyatt Earp met when they were extras in the 1916 Douglas Fairbanks movie, The Half-Breed. On the wall behind the desk by the front door, between an Arizona topographical map entitled Horse Tank 16 and a hand-sewn cloth that says the buck stops before it gets here, is a framed photograph. I take the frame down and hand it to Ivana. The photograph is a black and white lobby card showing Wyatt Earp, my father, and Red Kelso posing in a saloon in a scene from a cowboy movie, and is signed in fading purple ink, "For Dowdy and Red, from your old pard, Wyatt." Ivana says, scanning the bookshelves. "You mean the Wyatt Earp of the gunfight at the OK Corral? Your dad knew him?" "Yeah. He and Red were pallbearers at Wyatt Earp's funeral, along with Tom Mix and William S. Hart. But the OK Corral was not a gunfight, my dear. It was a hit. It was the St. Valentine's Day massacre of the Old West. And Wyatt Earp was a tin horn and gangster and bald-faced liar." "Really?" says Ivana, stepping aside to allow an old bag lady pushing a shopping cart loaded high with junk. The junk is neatly packed in clear plastic bags. I say to Ivana, "That's what we do here, ma'am. Red and me, we sell rare books about the Old West. Only our books are true to life. We don't hold with the Old West they got on television. We don't even like novels. The whole world is based on novels. Even California is named after a mythical island in a 15th century Spanish novel, an island rich with gold. If we stocked any Louis L'Amour paperbacks, we'd have them classified as science fiction. Red and me, we don't like fairy tales about lightning-fast draws and pistols that shoot 500 bullets and singing cowboys who wear fancy dude duds and kiss their horses. We like plain talk and plain people." Red Kelso, my partner and my comrade in arms in the war against ignorant sons of bitches, emerges from the storage room in the back of the store. "That's right, little darling," says Red Kelso, adjusting his steel-rimmed bifocals. "In Hollywood, an intellectual is anyone who buys a hardback book. The kid and me, we're fellers what likes to take an idea over by the light and have a good look at it. We're not too smart, but we have a real good time." Red extends his hand to Ivana in welcome, and they shake hands vigorously. Red says, "Most of our books are rare and out of print. We got a few modern trade paperbacks, if we like the title, but we don't like pocket-sized paperback books, and we don't stock them. We don't stock book club editions. We sell books, not junk. We like books that have been written by people who lived the story. Cowboys, hard rock miners, pioneer women, American Indian warriors, railroad men, explorers, frontier marshals, road agents, and mountain men. Or books about such people, if the writer will stick to the facts. In the Old West, the real gold and silver were land and cattle. The kid and me don't like books by hacks like Zane Grey and Max Brand, who write pure, undiluted horse manure. And we don't like academics who would know a horse from a pile of rocks, but who spout stupid pet theories about the history of the Old West. Their ideas are too smooth and too small. We like books by people who have something to say, people who know something, not books by tenderfoots with wimpy little beards who mash up and misquote the words of honest men who had guts and vision into a disjointed stew and then try, with a straight face, to pass that off as writing. I've seen the future, and it is not worth reading." Red shifts from his lecturing tone to courting sweet talk without missing a beat, and continues. My name is Harlan Eugene Kelso. They call me Red from when I had hair, back when I was a young Marine in France in the Great World War. I'm 96 years old. I'm so old that at night I can hear the creak of my arteries hardening. I've been in the store for more than 50 years. They had me 6 wives, some good ones and some mean ones, and I've outlived them all, except 2 or 3 of them. And I'd be mighty pleased and proud if you'd be number 7. And don't say it that I'm too old for you. I'll never live to be as old as I look. I've always had the kind of face that looks lived in. Ivana looks at Red, then at me, then looks perplexed. Red Kelso says, "Okay, so I'm suffering from an incurable illness called old age. If I knew I was going to live this long, I'd have taken better care of myself. But I got a dance or 2 left in me. If you don't marry me, little darling, I'm going to donate my body to science. Hell, might as well, for all the use I'm getting out of it." Ivana blushes and does not know what to say. Red looks at Ivana steadily, very serious, waiting for her answer. His face, the kind of face usually found stamped on Roman coins. His body, long, slender, and sinewy. His head as pale and as shiny as a cue ball. Red may be old, but he's still as sturdy as an oak stump. Ivana laughs and says, "Well, it's a pleasure to meet you, Mr. Kelso, and I'm very flattered by your proposal, really, but, well, I'm sorry, I think I'm spoken for." Red says to Ivana, "Hell, girl, if you ain't gonna marry me, the least you could do is call me Red." Then to me, "Better put your brand on this one, kid." Then he turns back to Ivana and winks. "Did the kid tell you he was a war hero?" Ivana says, "Is that so?" Red nods. "He was faster than the bullets. He's got a shoebox full of medals, the Navy Cross, 2 Bronze Stars, 3 Purple Hearts, and a hat full of ribbons." I say, "Red, I don't think that everybody knows that you're my mother." Red says to Ivana, "The kid is secretly plotting to put me in a nursing home. In nursing homes, they make you eat Jell-O every day of the year, day in and day out. Disgusting little green cubes of Jell-O, little green chunks of Jell-O that look like greasy croutons cut from the belly of a garden slug. You ever hear of anything as junkyard dog mean as that?" I say, "Red, you've been playing with yourself for so long that your brain is starting to collapse in on itself. When you die, they're going to have to beat your mouth to death with a stick." Red says, "Don't fly off the handle at me, boy. You and your damn green Jell-O conspiracy." Red sits down in the squeaky swivel chair behind the gray metal desk by the door. "Stop staring at me. What am I, a damn TV?" I say to Ivana, "He sends bad checks to television evangelists. He gets checkbooks from different banks all over town and then sends out fat checks to every television evangelist he can find. Only he never puts any money into the accounts. He thinks that's funny." With a straight face, Red says, "You're damn right it's funny." He picks up a rope from the door next to the desk and kicks an old beat-up and decaying stuffed calf that Red mounted on wheels 40 years ago. The little calf shoots across the floor and bangs into a bookshelf. Red throws the rope and pulls the battered calf back to the desk, as he has done, it seems, at least 3 million times. To Ivana, he says, "I spent 35 years of my life choking cows with ropes." Red says, jerking the noose free and kicking the calf across the store again, "Kid, we got boxes of unpaid bills. We got bills like baby birds crying to be fed. Every nickel we got is tied up in the store, and every nickel we don't have. We're about as broke as you can get outside of jail. It's time we sent out one last message from the Alamo. Dear Colonel Fannin, help! We're in deep shit. Send money, guns, and lawyers. We better pray for divine intervention, kid. We're both going to be working for wages and crying in our beer. Sometimes I think you were born with cow shit in your ears, kid. Sometimes you just don't face facts. The Indians are coming over the walls like red rain, and these days, the cavalry refuses to make house calls unless you got a major credit card. I ain't just flapping my arms to keep the vultures away, kid. I'm serious. We got to do something. We got to do it now because desperation is not pretty. Before I can respond to Red's latest tirade, Mr. Pee-wee, our cat friend, appears. Mr. Pee-wee has a live hummingbird in his mouth. Head first. Red bends down and takes off one of his battered old boots. Mr. Pee-wee is a tiny black and orange Burmese cat and likes to sleep on Red's foot under the desk while Red waits on customers. Mr. Pee-wee is a freelance cat. We don't own him. He copes with the problems of life well. Whenever Mr. Pee-wee finds something he doesn't understand, he eats it. Ivana squats down and plays finger monster with Mr. Pee-wee and coaxes him to give up the hummingbird. Mr. Pee-wee growls that particular cat growl that means, "Back off and get out of my face. Can't you see that I'm eating?" Finally, after much debate, Mr. Pee-wee spits out the hummingbird. Ivana pets Mr. Pee-wee in gratitude, but Mr. Pee-wee, pissed off, growls, then trots over and plops down onto Red Calzo's naked foot. Ivana picks up the hummingbird and we examine it. In her hand, the hummingbird lies motionless, except for the pounding of his bean-sized heart. Ivana takes the hummingbird outside, holds up her hand, and the hummingbird zings away, an iridescent dart of purple and green. Suddenly the front door opens, and a customer barges in. Another bag lady pushing another shopping cart. The shopping cart is a chrome cage filled with the droppings of Western civilization, and sports a small American flag. Unfortunately, at exactly the same time as the second bag lady is trying to come in, the bag lady already inside the store is trying to leave. There is a loud metallic crash, and the comic spectacle of a gruesome yet bloodless traffic accident. Dressed in clothes that would embarrass a scarecrow, the bag ladies curse and squeal like two Beverly Hills matrons who have had a fender bender involving a Mercedes and a Rolls Royce. Ivana, trapped outside, looks at me through the plate glass window. I shrug, helpless. Yelling over the noise of the squawking, hysterical bag ladies, I explain. What can I say? It's a typical day in the book business. Red yells, "It sure ain't much when it comes to making money, Ivana, but it beats all hell out of setting your watch to someone else this time." Mrs. Dance, our obnoxious landlady, appears at the front door, sees the traffic jam, and pulls her way through no problem. Ivana follows in her wake. Mrs. Dance's clothes are always fire engine red, and she always wears so much pancake makeup that she looks like Emmett Kelly in drag. Her skin is as old and as baggy as Charlie Chaplin's trousers. Her eyeglasses have gold suspension strings and were designed to look like the tail fins on an Edsel. Her voluminous breasts are homing in toward gravity with a determination which no combination of undergarments can resist. Since Mr. Dance died, Mrs. Dance has amassed an impressive collection of beefcake calendars and has had the hots for handsome young men with muscles. But she is not in the real world on that point. She is loud and aggressive and never uses a normal tone of voice. Preceded by the changing fury of her multitudinous bosoms, she swings her arms when she walks so that she needs the whole sidewalk to herself. She has unfortunate teeth and 13 of the ugliest cats I have ever seen. And she's like ugly on an ape on the subject of unpaid rent. Mrs. Dance says, "I hope you high rollers are late with the rent." Just one more time, boy, that would be some real red dynamite. You know why? 'Cause I got me a better offer. Going to break your lease, cowboys. Just give me an excuse. Go ahead, renters. Make my day. I got me a guy who wants to put a real store in here. A store that don't pay its bills with monopoly money. Skateboards. Now there's a business with a future. Horse apples, says Red. He twirls his rope and flings the hoop at Mrs. Dance. Come on, kid, let's string up the old Mama Grizzly Bear. Mrs. Dance sidesteps the rope loop, smirks, and says, It's going to be really, really, really fun being rich. Have a nice day, deadbeats. She slams the door behind her. I say to Ivana, the only real money we make these days is when the rich people from Beverly Hills send their maids over here to buy books for interior decoration. They buy them by color, and they'll buy any book bound in leather no matter what the title or subject, because they think the leather-bound books make their dens look like libraries of British aristocrats. Red says, Sold 2 books today, kid. A signed Tintypes in Gold, and a Santa Barbara edition of California Ranger, some tourist from Utah. And before breakfast, I took that key over to Westwood and picked up some high spots from the lawyer's office. I say to Ivana, they can't put a skateboard store in here. Not enough turnover. A little bird told us that there's a syndicate planning to knock down the whole block and put in a Jack-in-the-Box fast food joint. California is the birthplace of the disposable building. Longhorn Books is living on borrowed time. Red says, Leads us to drink. Me and the kid. Especially the kid. But then, life's too scary to look at through sober eyes. I say, laughing, Hey, I don't drink all that much. Just enough to keep my arms from falling out of my sleeves. Ivana says, Why don't we drive down to the beach and watch the sunset? We can rent the honeymoon suite at the Bates Motel. We can suck face and bump uglies. What do you say? I'll buy you an ice cream. She smiles, and her dimples speak to me of love. I say, You know, Ivana, you are really becoming my favorite waste of time. Ivana says, Eat shit and die. As we leave the store, I say to Red, as usual, If Sophia Loren calls, tell her to stop pestering me.